addition to paying attention to our goal setting, it's also important when we're working in groups to make sure that we have a good facilitator. Facilitation is one of those things that I've found college students sometimes don't want. They go into a group meeting and they say, well, we'll just have a stream of consciousness meeting and we'll all just discuss. And that is when you are going to have the 4-hour meeting where we're all just spinning our wheels and we never move forward. It's very frustrating. In fact, it's one of the reasons people don't like working in groups, because we feel like we're not really making any progress. Well, if you have a facilitator to keep the group on task during task time, you will find yourself moving forward, and that's so important in not getting burned out and frustrated with the project. Now you'll notice that I do not call this person the group leader. That's because they don't have decision-making power. They are not the boss of the group. They are just the facilitator. They are there to help the group process go more smoothly. Basically, they're just taking you step by step through the process. You can have different people be the facilitator, like I could be the facilitator at our first meeting and the next group member could be the facilitator at our next meeting, and so on and so forth. You can trade that duty. In fact, it's probably a good idea to do that because everybody should have a chance to see what it feels like to run a meeting. It's not as easy as you would think. But facilitation, absolutely key in making your group process more effective and more efficient. Another thing that will help in your group process is communication. I cannot stress this enough. Set aside a time each meeting for progress reports. This solves that problem of something slipping through the cracks. So you go around and basically the facilitator just asks, okay, what were you working on? How's it coming? Do you need any help? How about you? What were you working on? How's it coming? Do you need any help? And you just go around the room and then you look at all the tasks that need to be accomplished for your project, and if there's one that doesn't have a check mark or a name by it, you know that that one has slipped through the cracks and we can find somebody who can take on that task. It also helps because sometimes if somebody hasn't had a chance to do their thing, they have not accomplished their task, they'll try to doop-de-doo it. Which means if nobody actually calls them on it, they'll be like, doop-de-doo, I hope nobody asks if I got the thing done, doop-de-doo. Whereas if you have a set time each meeting for progress reports, they can't very easily doop-de-doo it. They have to say, actually, I haven't had time to get that done. If you all could help me with that, that would help a lot. And people are usually really nice. They will totally help you out. It's only when it comes time for the actual project deadline and you haven't gotten it done, well, then they will not forgive you. Not because you didn't get it done, but because you didn't tell anyone in time to fix the problem. They'll be so frustrated because they're thinking, if you had just told us, we could have solved the problem. Another reason for the progress reports is to keep you from accidentally duplicating each other's work. Sometimes two people will be working on the same task and they won't realize it because they haven't been communicating. And then the group has to figure out how to merge those two different versions of the task together, and it actually creates more work instead of doing what a group should do, which is lightening the load. So communication can make sure that you really are taking advantage of the good side of group work. Another aspect of communication actually links back to the maintenance communication, how you talk to people in meetings. During discussion, focus on issues, not people. So for example, it is perfectly fine to say, I disagree with that idea. It is not okay to say, you are an utter moron. And it's funny because whenever I talk about this in class, I'll have somebody who goes, but what if they are? No, you still cannot say that out loud, because what you're doing is you're creating a chilling effect. A chilling effect is where people hear how you talk to other people in the group, and even if that wasn't directed at them, they think to themselves, I don't want to be talked to like that, and so they won't speak up. They won't share their good ideas with the rest of the group, because that chilling effect is now in place. So you have to be careful how you talk to people. You have to be careful of your tone of voice. You have to be careful of your eye contact. You have to be careful not to make scoffing noises like right? You have to treat people the way you would like to be treated, with courtesy and respect, a civilized tone of voice. It's perfectly fine to disagree. In fact, that's a skill you should develop in a communication class. You should learn how to disagree diplomatically, because you need to be able to disagree with an idea that's actually not going to be good for the group, and you need to be able to discuss that in a way that helps the group. So I'm not saying you should just keep your mouth shut and let everybody go down a bad path, but you do need to be able to disagree diplomatically. Next on our list is structure. Anytime you're working in a group, use a structuring technique to streamline and improve the group process. The classic structuring technique that you'll see a lot is parliamentary procedure, where somebody says, I move such and such, and then somebody else has to second it, and then we all have to vote on it. This is actually a very cumbersome way to run a group, and for most simple projects, you don't really need parliamentary procedure. Sometimes all you need is an agenda and a good facilitator. An agenda is just a to-do list. All you're doing is identifying the things you want to accomplish in this meeting. I promise you, if you take 2 minutes at the beginning of your meeting to write down your agenda, here's what we're going to accomplish, if you don't have that already, obviously, and establish who's going to be your facilitator, that will save you so much time. You'll get everything done in an hour instead of having that 4-hour spinning your wheels frustrating meeting. Now, of course, the best idea is to have your agenda created ahead of time. Send out the agenda to everybody so everybody knows what you're going to be doing in your meeting. But if you haven't had a chance to do that, that's okay. Just at the beginning of the meeting, make sure you establish your agenda and figure out who is going to facilitate and take you through that agenda.